Hi, and welcome to the Reiki from the Farm podcast, brought to you by me, Pam Allen-LeBlanc from Hidden Brook Farm. I am a scientist, a businesswoman, and a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training. Each week in this podcast, you'll be entertained as you learn about a wide variety of relevant Reiki topics, helping you become a more knowledgeable and effective Reiki practitioner. We caution you, though, this podcast may also dramatically improve your life, and we are so happy that you're here.
Welcome to this month's Reiki Share and this month's podcast as well, with the election process heating up and so very much to do and get done. I have had to scale back a little bit and just do one podcast a month for the last few months. So thank you for your patience with that. I'm so glad to have so many of you here with me online at the same time, and then also to reach those of you who are listening to the recording afterward. There has been an awful lot going on. Before we begin, I just wanted to let you know that starting on Monday, Election Day for me, October 21st, I have a Reiki Level 1 and 2 class, and I do have a little special announcement for everyone this evening about that class. Is that so many of you love it when Karen Kaig and I do podcasts together. And because I may need a little bit of flexibility during that class, depending on the election and how it goes and what I may need to do for those 2 days, Karen is going to co-teach that class with me. So you don't get just one licensed teacher in that class, you're going to get two. Karen and I just have so much fun together. So that's just a little extra bonus for you on October 21st and 22nd. So if any of you want to take a licensed class with the two of us, the two licensed teachers, Karen in Ecuador and me in New Brunswick, Canada, we would love to have you join us. It is being taught in the Atlantic time zone, so from 9 to 6:30. Also following up, and all these classes are in the Atlantic time zone, I have a master's class, the 23rd to 25th, an Animal Reiki Level 1 and 2 class, the 26th and 27th, and an Animal Reiki Master class, the 28th to the 30th. After that, we do have some classes coming up in December that some of you may be interested in. There will be a Level 1 and 2 class, November 23rd and 24th. That's a weekend class, and that will be in the Eastern time zone, 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. There will also be a class, an Animal Reiki Level 1 and 2 class, November 30th and December 1st. And also any of you who wish to join us on Christian's Business Reiki Summit. That goes on from November 22nd to 25th, and Karen and I are actually doing a talk on November 25th, if that's of interest to you. And then finally, a lot of you are interested in animal communication, and unfortunately I haven't had a lot of time to teach that this year, although I did teach a big class in Asia in 3 languages, which was a lot of fun and challenging as well. But I do have an Animal Communication Level 1 and 2 class coming up December 7th and 8th, which is a weekend. And anybody who's reviewing the class, it has changed slightly, not a ton, but a little bit. Anybody who wishes to review can review that class for half fee. I also have an Animal Communication Level 3 class coming up over 2 evenings, the following 2 evenings, December 9th and 10th. And they're going from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time. And I also have an Animal Communication Level 3 class coming up in the Asian time zone and somewhat Australian friendly time zone. So any of you who are interested in Animal Communication Level 3, that is happening Saturday the 14th of December and Sunday the 15th of December. I also have a full lineup of classes happening in January. They're happening over weekends and evenings because I've made the assumption that I might be in the legislature and having to work around that schedule. So that's what's going on with us right now these days. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something really interesting It was really clear. It's about when dreams come true, embracing the discomfort of positive change with Reiki. And the reason we're talking about that is that I've noticed with my clients and even with myself that one of the most difficult things to manage with Reiki is positive change. And when your dreams come true, it's actually easier to handle discomfort, disaster, you name it, than the positive change at times, most times, actually. So we're going to delve into that tonight. But before we do, I'd just like to open up the call because, as I mentioned, I'd like to add a little Ask Me Anything section to each of our Reiki shares. And if some of you are wondering about things, then probably other people are too. So I'd just like to open it up and just invite any of you who would like to ask a question. You can just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask. And so just go ahead.
I'd like to go if that's okay.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
So I've been thinking about the LRMT program for quite a while, and I finally have everything like in place to go ahead and apply. Is there, and I was trying to see, is there like a certain date that we have to have everything in by, or a deadline, or is it just, does it roll with whenever you insert your application?
That's right. It's all according to you. There's no dates whatsoever. This is completely up to you. And the first thing that you would want to do, Jennifer, if you are thinking of becoming a licensed Reiki master teacher, first of all, congratulations. It's a big step and it's a really positive step for any of us who have taken that. It really takes Reiki to another level. It takes your confidence to another level with it. It's quite remarkable. So congratulations on being at that place where you're ready to make that step. The first thing I would recommend that you do is just on the front page of reiki.org. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's all the information about the LRMT program. Just fill in the questionnaire and send that first. And when you send in the questionnaire, we will be able to review it. I'm one of the assistant directors that works with the LRMT program. And so what we'll do is just review the questionnaire and make sure that you have all the qualifications before you put the time and effort into the bigger application process, because the application is quite involved. So go ahead and send that in whenever it's a good time for you. And there is a fee for the questionnaire, but it's less than for the application process. So we just like to make it a little less painful for you, or a little more painless. That's the word, because it's not painful. And yeah, so does that answer your question, my dear?
Yeah, it does. And that answers that part of it. And then
Okay.
another question arose from it. That's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I'm going through the application and and I know we have to complete certain types of, we have to do sessions, a certain amount of sessions. Is it okay to be like, I use Reiki as it helps me with all of the sessions that I do with everybody.
Yeah.
Is it that I'm supposed to just do only like Reiki protocol? Or is it like, is
Yeah.
it where so I have my own techniques, I have my own flair, and I use the Reiki along with it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is it just purely, or is that just something to be answered later?
No, that's so. First of all, I don't think you have to have a lot of sessions in order to do the application, but there is 100 sessions afterwards, and they only start counting after you've been accepted. So don't go too far into that 100
Okay.
sessions, if that's what you're talking about, because anything you do before you're accepted, you do have to start over again.
Okay.
But if you look at the ICRT manual, William encourages us to develop our own techniques, our own flair. I liked how you said that. And so there's nothing wrong with that. The one thing that when we are doing our sessions that are going to count for our LRMT program, we have to do 100 sessions and keep the paperwork. When we are doing those sessions, the main thing is that if you say practice 2 or 3 different modalities, we ask you to just practice Reiki in those modalities, just for those sessions, okay? You're welcome to practice other modalities with Reiki. There's no limitations there. But for those 100 sessions that you're being evaluated on, we ask you to just focus on Reiki. But there's no one right way to do Reiki. Most of my sessions that I do are hands off on the phone with people.
Okay.
And they're leading people through meditations and and they're distance sessions. And so there's no really one right way of doing a Reiki session. Does that help?
Immensely. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. One of the things, because the ICRT, the LRMT program is so involved, there's so much to it. A lot of times people think that it's really strict, or that so many times, and this happens for all of us, Jennifer. So many times we think, oh, wait, am I doing that wrong? Am I doing this wrong? And it's really one of the things I love about the ICR lineage, I guess I'll say, is that we're really encouraged to develop our own style, to develop our own, and if a tool works for us, use it. And if it doesn't work, don't use it. And that sort of thing. I just really, I don't know, I can't say enough about the program. I'm excited for you, and I'll look forward to seeing your application when it comes through.
That helped immensely because my main way of doing Reiki is through meditation and
Mine too.
over the phone or video, or that's where I do most. And I do
Yeah.
it with kids too, and I teach parents, and I want to just be able to do it more formally, so to speak. And
Yeah. And when you get in the program, you work with a mentor who might encourage you to try different ways or different things. And if they do, it's just for your own development.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great questions. Scott, I think you had a question too.
Yeah, mine's more of your Reiki share. In fact, I got two questions. The first
Sure.
one on Reiki share. A while back, you were going to do a Reiki share with the idea of dealing with Pele, I believe. And that one you had to back off of because of your injury. I'm
Yes.
wondering if you're ever going to get back into that one because that kind of sounded interesting to me. I've dealt with Pele before. And the second question I would have is, I know it's a long way off, but when is the Masters for Animal Communication? When are you looking at it?
Yes, I'm definitely hearing the new year. So I would say by March in the new year, but so much is just hinging right now. Our election is Monday, October the 21st. And so much is just hinging on that. If I get elected, which is actually looking very good, then I will have a limited amount of time to work on it until December. And so I'll have to be listening and doing the development in that December, January timeframe, and then trying to have to fit it around when I'm in the legislature, which is fine. We can do that. But so I know that it wouldn't be before March. If I don't get elected, it could be earlier in the new year, but it will definitely be in the new year. And then Pele, the reason I was planning on working with that was because I believe I was in Hawaii and working with that energy. And since I've left Hawaii, I haven't felt that connection. So I'm so sorry that, yes, I wasn't able to do that meditation, and that it hasn't really been calling for me again since. But maybe we should just talk about it even privately, and maybe even do a session, Scott, and tap into the energy and see what happens, and see if it does come forward again for one of our Reiki shares, if that sounds okay.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. And I'm sorry, I can't see who else has their hand raised. So there's two with your hands raised, and I'm just going to invite you to go ahead. Anybody else have a question?
Looks like Beth had her hand raised.
Oh, Beth, did you have a question? Go out there. Now I can see it. Just go ahead and unmute yourself, my dear, if you get a minute. And I'm just going to look really quickly There is a question.
There it goes. Oh my
There.
gosh. Maybe
You
my
couldn't get
fingers.
yourself unmuted, could you?
No, my question is, you've taught us to do Reiki and animal communication together,
Yeah.
and confidence level's always been in the toilet, but it's gotten better. My horse is sick.
Yes, I do.
So I didn't know what to do with, and all I kept getting was a red ball between her throat latch and her ear. And
Okay.
I'm like, and I actually told the vet, I'm like, this is what she gives me, because they didn't know what was going on. And my question, is there a way to try to interpret that better? Because I'll tell you what happened. They thought she had botulism,
I heard,
and
I saw that.
and she had a horrible reaction to the antitoxin, and the side of her face all swelled up,
Oh,
right where that red ball was, and it burst. It was an abscess
it
that
was
they
an
couldn't see.
abscess.
They did an endoscopy, they did a full dental exam, they did x-rays, and they didn't see it. But now they do, and it's got like a track or a fistula into her guttural pouch, and it's draining there.
Sure.
But is there a way that I could have interpreted that better? Or do you ask the energy, like, I need more, that's not enough? Because now I know what it was, and that I wasn't bananas, that she really was showing me a red ball in the right spot, but I had no idea what to do with it.
Yeah. No, I think what I would say, Beth, to that is certainly you can always ask for more details or more information. But anytime I see a red energy, anytime an animal or a human animal shows me a red energy, it usually tells me there's some pain associated with it or some inflammation. And what you could do is perhaps do the holy fire healing experience with her. And it's maybe not too late. It might also, because even though physically the abscess in your horse's face has burst, it's still probably, there's still some energy there that could use to be healed. So I think I think you did a great job. In fact, quite often when with animal communication, what I find is that when my own animals are not well, I don't do animal communication very well. And that's because so I actually often will get my assistant Bertina to communicate if I'm emotionally,
Very emotionally involved.
yeah, when I'm
Yeah.
emotionally involved with my own animals. So quite often I'll do that. I'll get somebody to help me. So just one moment, please. Oh, you need my car keys? Sorry, guys. Is this what you need, Matt? Okay, there you go. No problem. And so I think you did a great job. You might want to continue though with a holy fire healing experience or some other experience that you're guided to just continue helping that to heal and helping to release the energy. Does that make sense?
It does. So if I ask for clarification or more information, am I asking the animal, or am I asking the energy?
You can ask of either. Sometimes the animal is very aware of what's going on and they will communicate that with you. Sometimes they're not. I've had some animals who are like, you'll say, this is going on, what's happening? And they'll say, I don't know. I was hoping you could tell me. And it definitely in that case, I would turn around and ask the energy, what is going on? Sometimes the animals say, it's this and this is what I need. So
I would say, I don't know what that means. And then I would just hit the red ball again. But I don't know what that means. So I probably should have checked in with the energy that night.
Yeah, to me, all that would mean is, okay, I'm going to do some energy on that red ball. I'm going to do some releasing work on that red ball and see if I can let it go. But I think you did fine, and probably just recognizing it, doing Reiki, doing what you were doing, probably that's what helped the abscess to burst and start draining, which is what we want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Guys, I see a question in the chat. Cam had to head out, but she was wondering if we allow Reiki to flow with our hands or fists clasped or clenched, not tensed, not in a tensed way, could that be considered self-Reiki? And she was wondering if anybody had experienced that. She had always heard and seen Reiki given with open palms, but why not give oneself Reiki with closed hands, knowing that several meridians start at the tip of our fingers? Could this be less effective or less powerful than sending with open hands? I'm not sure, Cam. It's not something I've ever tried. I think what I would do is just give it a try and do it both ways. And now you've got me curious, so now I'll do it both ways and just see what you notice, because certainly I do tend to keep my hands open and my fingers closed because that's what I was taught early on, but I also don't think it's the only way to do Reiki or that it's necessary. So I think it would be fun to experiment with that. And she also says, why do we always talk about giving Reiki with the hands? William Rand's book talks about how Yusui Sensei gave Reiki with his feet. And she's wondering if other parts of our body could be used like that. So I think, Cam, with that question, the main thing is that many people in North America don't really like to be touched with feet. There's kind of I don't know, but certainly we are aware that Reiki can flow through the feet. And Yusui Sensei did that when he was really after the Great Kanto earthquake, when he was in Tokyo and he was trying to treat so many people. He would treat one person with each hand, one person with each foot, so 4 people, a 5th person with his eyes, and a 6th person with his breath. And that was the time when Yusui actually prayed in the eyes, the eyes and the breath. And when Yusui actually prayed and said, look, I need to train more people. There's only one of me. I can't keep doing this. And that's when he learned that he could pass on the ability more quickly, more efficiently with something called an attunement. So we know that in addition to our hands, we could use our feet if a client or friend or whatever wasn't opposed. We also know, though, that we could use our eyes and we could use our breath. And I will tell you that I use my eyes and breath a lot, and animals really prefer, in my experience, animals have preferred receiving Reiki from both the eyes and the breath. So that's an answer to that. And she's also wondering about someone touching an object or person with their arms or their hair with the intention of sending Reiki. I haven't heard of that, no. So I can't really answer to that question. And Em says that holy fire is flowing. She feels it. You're about to burst into a holy fire flame. And that definitely happens. And certainly I started the energy flowing before I even got here tonight. And Marissa said she used her feet with her dog. You know something, I do use my feet with Henry a lot, my dog. And he needed to be touched in more than 2 places. And sometimes you'll also add breath and eyes. And you have noticed closed hands work well. So well done. And then Lynn is recommending something we teach in Animal Reiki called Reiki Trails, where we actually just walk with our feet and we leave the Reiki behind. So there's just so many possibilities with Reiki. It's limitless, actually. Any other questions, you guys, before I move into our scheduled program for this evening?
I have a question about the distant Reiki. Now, I had a session with you and you did a meditation, and that was like, it was a wonderful thing. How do you get started with the meditation, like learning meditations or what meditations to use, that type of a thing for distance? When I was first taught distant Reiki, it was like you had a picture or a surrogate, and then you just scheduled a time and they would find a nice quiet place to sit, but there wasn't the phone communication at the time that I learned it.
Yeah, exactly. And that is certainly one way to do distance Reiki, with a photograph or with a surrogate. And I always did my distance Reiki on the phone. And before I had my Holy Fire Reiki Masters, I used the hand positions on a surrogate even when I was on the phone. And that's one way of doing a distance session. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very effective. However, once I learned Holy Fire at the master level, we have several meditations that we can choose from. And I found the meditations so incredibly healing. Especially, I would have to say my go-to is probably the Holy Fire Healing Experience. It's just so powerful and it releases so much energy. It heals so many things for people that I really started using those in my meditations. And mostly I would use the Holy Fire Healing Experience, but then I had some repeat clients. I started experimenting with the Holy Love Experience and the Ocean of Holy Love and some of the banquet hall experience, and so many of the experiences that we had in our manual. And so that was really neat. And then over time, Animal Reiki developed, and Animal Reiki brought us additional meditations to choose from. And as I worked through the LRMT program, Colleen Benelli encouraged me to start listening. And actually, this is also something that we did as we were creating the Animal Reiki course, to just really start listening in the energy and doing something called invocations. And invocation is just a healing prayer. And so I was very nervous about that at first. At first, I started just using invocations that she had done. But over time, my confidence in my ability to listen to the energy came through. And sometimes my sessions are just point blank a Holy Fire Healing Experience or one of the Animal Reiki meditations. There's some of them that I really go to a lot, like the Rest, Receive, and Replenish in the Tree of Life, or the Garden of Forgiveness experience. However, I gained some confidence and and sometimes I do those. Sometimes I simply listen. It just depends on the client and what they need. But I wouldn't expect you to do that right away. That did take me quite a bit of using the meditations we already had before I felt like expanding. But if you do feel like expanding out and just activating Reiki and listening in the energy and incorporating that, there's nothing wrong with that either. Does that help, Trixanne?
Yes, it does a lot. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Any other questions, you guys, before I move on? Okay. So guys.
Scott has a question.
Oh, go ahead. Scott, I can't hear you. Is it you that has a question?
Somebody also had a question. I was going to let them go first. I thought
Okay.
I heard somebody.
No, I think she said you had a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It came up since you came up with Cam's question that clicked in my mind. But yesterday I had a Reiki share, and somebody was talking about the older text of Reiki, or that where they were doing Reiki on themselves, and it said it didn't matter the palm position. You could do it on the back of the palm or front of the palm when you did Reiki. And I'm wondering if you ever come across that, because this was supposedly out of the late 80s, early 90s, or something like that. Have you ever heard of something like that?
I haven't, but I do know, Scott, that there were some groups in the late 80s and early 90s who brought about some really significant changes with Reiki. There's a group that believe you have to put space between level 1 and 2. That was never how Reiki was, but that came in around that time frame. Bringing the chakra system in, that came in around that time frame. But I haven't seen that yet, but there is a really great book that is recommended by William Rand and lots of Reiki people that I've talked with, by Justin Stein. It's a book that on how Mrs. Takata practiced, and Justin Stein is an historian. He was able to really dig into some of the history of Reiki. Now, I have to admit that I've started it, but my schedule hasn't allowed me to continue with it. And I can't think of the name of it right now. And I was just trying to find it on my Kindle, and it's been a while since I've looked at it, so I'm not seeing it. But if you do want to check out, I think it's called Reiki Connections by Justin Stein. So that might be a really good book to check out some of the history. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And actually, Em is saying she's used the back of her hands, palms up or out for rapid release, and then flips them to send. So that's really cool. And Kat says that she uses on the lower back, she uses the back of her hands. So there you go. There's some really cool people that have had experience with that. So great question, Scott. And now I'm going to try it, of course. You know that I am. So, guys, in this week's podcast or this month's podcast and Reiki Share, I'd like to talk a little bit about that powerful time or moment when your dreams begin to manifest and the surprising discomfort that often comes with stepping into the life you've envisioned. Sometimes it's a new career, a successful venture, starting a business, a personal breakthrough, a positive change. And when these happen, it can bring up feelings of uncertainty, fear, imposter syndrome. So I'd like to go into that a little bit so that if there is a positive change that you're considering, is something that you can embrace this new chapter of your life with confidence, grace, and ease. And I'll tell you why this came up. I actually had a moment yesterday when I realized, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to win this election. And obviously, I was working toward that the whole time. And I actually felt a few weeks ago, okay, I think I think it's happening. But then I had to deal with, no, wait, I had all that discomfort that I've seen in so many clients that was like, what does life look like when that happens? And what changes is that going to bring? And I was so shocked at the discomfort that I experienced as a result of that. And I've seen it so many times in my clients that I realized, okay, this is a discussion that we need to have. And so one of the reasons positive change can, and I really had to dive into it too. One of the reasons that it can feel uncomfortable, even if it's something you've worked hard for, is there's a couple of things. One is we're genetically predispositioned to expect or to roll with hardship and negative change. And so positive change, we're not sure what to do with. And one of the reasons is this, when you go into positive change, first of all, it's a choice. You're stepping into it. Secondly, you really are we base the majority of our decisions and information on our past, our history. So if we're stepping into something brand new, that we don't have a history to fall back on, we have no idea what that looks like. And that's very disconcerting. We seem to like to know what's happening, what it looks like. And that's the discomfort that I found myself in the other day. And the other thing that happens is imposter syndrome. We think, I can't tell you how many times, who am I to be successful with this? Who am I to have all of these amazing things happen? And the real question is, who are you not to be? But for some reason, that sort of shows up. It's a bit of a worthiness thing, I think. And we also have a fear of success. And that fear of success is a little bit around, I think, the fear of the unknown. It's also a fear of the expectation that people will have on you. And it's also, there's always going to be some emotional upheaval when you step out of old patterns. This is something that I think I talked about last time, how there was so much chaos happening in my life that I realized, okay, that chaos is telling me this is probably going to have a positive outcome. Because anytime something really major and really positive happened in my life, there was usually a fair bit of chaos that happened first. And I think that chaos comes in to create the shift, to release the energies that are holding you in this. I think that's where the chaos comes in. And so I realized, okay, this is probably really positive, and that's what we talked about last time. But now this time I had to think, okay, wow. And so if this is successful, what does that mean? And I really don't know what it means. I know some aspects of it, but there's very many unknowns, and that can be really uncomfortable. The thing that we have, though, in our back pockets is that we have Reiki. And I often think about people who don't have Reiki, and I wonder how they do things, how they get by difficulties and even wonderful positive changes. But it's important to remember that Reiki is always here for us. And something I decided to do yesterday when I started feeling all of that discomfort, I remembered that I had Reiki. And I said, oh, yeah, I can surrender this thing, whether it's good or bad. I can surrender it to Reiki and say, hey, why don't you look after this for me? And I'll follow your guidance. So I did surrender that to Reiki because Reiki is always there to support us in times of transition. So I got very grounded, and that's one of the things we're going to do today. In fact, one of the things I like to do in getting grounded in a space is I actually like to allow my consciousness and my energy to sink down into the earth, go through the soil, go into the groundwater, underneath the soil, and then all the way to the bedrock underneath the groundwater. And what that does is that taps me into the physical place that I'm in. It taps me into the water. We're all made mostly of water. Water is a wonderful conductor. And then once I get to that bedrock, I just allow any energies that need to release to do, and any energies of the earth that need to come back up through me to fill that space that just released to do that. And this is something Colleen Benelli introduced me to, just the importance of wherever you travel, wherever you go, the importance of going all the way down to the groundwater and to the bedrock beneath and just really connecting with the place that you're in, the place that you're at. That's what I did yesterday. And I decided to surrender the process over to Reiki. And I also have an incredible campaign manager. I have two, but Mel McCarthy. And Mel just listened to where I was uncomfortable and told me, yeah, it's normal to be uncomfortable. This is a lot. And so those two things, and then surrendering it, and I was just able to completely let it go partway through the day. It felt so much better. And I also want to just give a shout out to Jenny, who campaigns with me tirelessly. So just the fact that I was able to canvas with her yesterday, and Matt, my other campaign manager, just really appreciate all of these wonderful people. I appreciate Kristen and the folks that are doing the data entry, and Carol and Joanne and everyone. Some of the things that can help us, though, in addition to this, is just simple daily practices. They can help ease this discomfort. Our self-Reiki treatment. We can also journal and do automatic writing with Reiki to try to figure out, wait, what's the problem here? And it took me a moment to figure out, like, what is the problem? And at one point, when I felt discomfort, I was worried that if I didn't win, I would be letting my team down. But then yesterday's discomfort was different. And I realized, oh, it's that I don't know what I'm going forward to. And so if you can take some time to just write automatically, a lot of times Reiki will help you understand what's at the root of it. And then you can actually also use Reiki with visualization. And that's what we're going to do today, where you visualize the situation working out the way that you wish and hope and so on. And you allow that visualization with Reiki to show you what it will look like, so that it's not an unknown, and so that you really know what you're going forward to and into. Tonight we're going to do a guided meditation to just embrace your dreams and just make it a little bit simpler for you to move into that. And so I'm just going to invite you to make yourselves comfortable. Whether you're sitting or lying down, just allow yourself to relax. And I also want to bring up a point that showed up in one of my sessions today, which is that self-love, self-realization, and self-actualization are not selfish. That when we allow ourselves to rise in our vibration, when we allow ourselves to love ourselves, to realize what we're meant to be, where we're meant to go, self-actualization, be who we came here to be, That is the opposite of selfish. We sometimes think of it as selfish because I'm focused on myself, but it's only in doing that, and this is according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which has been showing up a lot as I've been canvassing, and people are hurting right now in my community. And it's actually the opposite of selfish, because when you show up self-realized, self-actualized, you're actually contributing to the whole from a stronger place. We're going to take this time tonight just to reflect, receive, and let go, recognizing that when we do manifest our dreams, it sometimes brings up discomfort, fear, doubt, many things. But this meditation, we're going to use it tonight to just ask Reiki to help us ground into our new reality and open up fully to all the positive changes in your life. So I'd like you to think about an area that you would like to embrace positive change. And as you do, I invite you to just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, just let all the tension and stress leave your body, all the busyness of your day, everything you need to think about later. This moment is about you and for you. And I'm going to ask you to imagine roots now, just growing from the base of your spine and the soles of your feet, and sinking deeply into the earth, and just allowing your consciousness to follow those. And these roots are creating the stability and safety that allow us to fully step into our dreams. And I invite you to take your consciousness down even further now, into the groundwater, all the way down to the bedrock, and the roots might even reach all the way down there. And just feel yourself firmly planted where you are. It's so important to remember that our bodies are made of the earth to give our spirits life and breath. And that is true no matter which perspective you examine it from. If you think of yourself as a fetus, and that every one of us had mothers who ate food that was grown in the earth, of the earth, from a tiny seed. And that this is what nourished us and created and turned us from a tiny seed into the healthy human beings that we are. And so just appreciating and acknowledging that connection with the earth and the importance of it. And if there's anything that you need to let go in order to step into that positive new reality, maybe it's a limiting belief, maybe it's an injury, illness, could be layers of the ways and worries of the world. If there's anything that's keeping you stuck in the vibration that you're in, you can just allow it to flow down through those roots and into the earth. The earth is going to transmute it into something beautiful. You may even, if you visualize, you may even see it sparkle. And now that we're firmly connected to the earth, I'm going to invite everyone to place your hands in Gasho and just invite the Reiki energy to flow. Just sense the energy filling your body. Feel it move through your hands, your heart, your mind. This Reiki energy is here to support you as you navigate the changes that are unfolding in your life. I invite you to trust in its wisdom, knowing that it is here to guide you every step of the way. And now place your activated Reiki hands comfortably on your body, wherever you feel guided. And I invite you to bring to mind your dream, this positive change. It could be a new opportunity, a personal achievement, a change you've been working toward for some time, but picture it very clearly now. And I'd like you to picture it as though it is already manifested in your life. Notice how it feels. Notice the joy, the excitement. And also notice any discomfort, fear, or uncertainty that you might feel. And as you continue to breathe, just feel the Reiki energy flowing to any areas of discomfort or doubt. Just imagine or allow it to gently dissolve those feelings like sunlight melting away the morning fog. We allow Reiki to establish a sense of calm and trust. Trust in your journey, in your worthiness, and in the beauty of your dream unfolding. I invite you to let go of any fear or hesitation, just releasing that into the earth. Releasing any limiting beliefs. And we're just going to remain here for a few moments as all of those old stagnant energies clear away. Now I invite you to bring in the distance symbol and allow it to create a bridge between where you are right now and that new reality that you've imagined. Understand that you're safe, you're supported. And I'd like you to take that bridge forward to a time when this new reality is fully realized. Just notice the doors opening before you, the opportunities flowing and your confidence growing. And you're going forward to a time when you're feeling good in this new reality. You're confident. It may have even evolved a little bit from what you think it might look like right now. I invite you to walk across the bridge. Step into that future place and time, and it may not be very distant future, but it is future. And we're just going to remain here so that you can allow Reiki to anchor you into this feeling of success and abundance. And I invite you to look around and notice where you are, what is happening, who's with you, what's around you. And if it makes sense to you, you can walk over to your future self and just sit down with them on a bench and have a conversation. Ask them how they feel about this new reality. And you may even want to ask them, how did we get here? How did this person feel about it? Go ahead and ask them whatever questions that you need. But just allow yourself to get anchored in that beautiful, wonderful feeling of your future success. And we're going to remain here for some time tonight. Take a few more deep breaths, just allowing yourself to fully absorb the Reiki energy. And when you're ready, you can bring your hands into Gasho once more, in gratitude for the changes in your life, the changes to come, the lessons learned, and the strength that you have within you to embrace it all. You've got this. I want you to know that you can return to this space and this meditation anytime that you need support or reassurance, or for the next amazing dream that's about to come true. And I invite you to bring your awareness slowly back into the room, taking a deep breath. Whenever you feel ready, bring your attention to your eyes. Slowly open your eyes and come back, and just bring with you this feeling of peace and confidence that you do have this. And as you move forward, just remembering that when you step into your dream, this is a journey. And Reiki is here to help you with each step. I invite you to trust in the process, trust in yourself. You've worked hard to bring your dreams to life. You are worthy, you deserve them. Now is time to embrace them fully. I'd like to thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for being the beautiful light that you are in the world. Namaste.